Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Marchalika here, and today I'm going to be talking quickly about the upcoming Alien update as well as the Halloween stuff. And just for the people who don't know yet, the Halloween update is going to be like completely community made this year because Valve is quote unquote going to be working their asses off on competitive and more skins. So that'll be. I don't know, it'll be good to see how that turns out. But hopefully competitive actually comes out soon and the Halloween update isn't a total flop. Alright, so now let's talk about some changes I want to see done to the rocket jumper. So as you can see here, this thing doesn't do anything. It doesn't do knockback, doesn't do damage. It's just like I'm not even hitting him with rockets. I'm just only going to be knocking myself back, which I think is kind of weird because there's no reason for it to not do any knockback just because it doesn't do damage. So I'm just going to equip the small town bring down. Okay, so let's just pretend this is the rocket jumper and pretend it does no damage, so it would still push them away. So while you're doing 0 damage, you could be boom, bouncing them out of here. So if you see a person on your team with the rocket jumper and they're like, oh my god, defend the last car, you're useless, they can knock them out of there. See? They're not dying, they're just being, oops, they're not dying, they're just being knocked back. And if you want to take it an even step further, you would give it 1 damage. So every time you hit someone, does 1 damage, knocks them away the amount a regular rocket launcher would. And I don't think it would change the usage of the rocket jumper much, because I don't ever see a situation where you would actually want to do 0 damage unless it's like to Ubers, in which case it wouldn't make a difference at all. So yeah, I don't see why this this buff couldn't be implemented, but I think it should be. Alright, moving on to the next weapon then. Alright, next buff thing I want to do is the black box. So the black box got like a weird nerf recently, where if you shoot someone from far away, you only get a tiny amount of health back, and if you shoot someone up close, you get 20 health back. Which, I guess is good if you're doing up close combat, because you regenerate your health much more quickly. So like, bam! And then, bam! I got 40 health back. Isn't that fantastic, guys? No, it's not. Because when you're at low health, you don't want to be up in somebody's face. You want to be way in the back, spamming, 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 get your health back slowly over time. But instead, now you have to be like very aggressive when you want your health back with this weapon, which I don't know. I always played this when I wanted to be safe, and this just doesn't let me do that anymore, which I think should be changed back. Alright, up next we got the Cowmangler to be changed a bit, and I really did like the little buff they did, where they they changed it so it had 4 rockets. It did the damage of regular rockets to players, but not buildings still, because it can't touch buildings, because lasers don't affect engineer sentries, like everybody knows, duh. So I actually like that change, so I take back what I said in my other video, but I would like to see the charge shot changed a bit, so like you can't move at all. Like, you can barely jump, you can barely inch back and forth, and it just makes the shot very impractical. Like, the only thing I can ever see you really doing with this, if you're hiding around the corner, you peek out, you boo, peekaboo, and then you pop back in. But no, that's not fun. So if they changed this so you had more mobility while you were doing this, I'd be like, alright. Or if they changed it so that it just fired a lot faster, like boom, all 4 of your rockets are going into 1 mini crit that sets someone on fire. That's not worth. See, watch. I hit this demo man twice. He's dead. Alright, let's see if we can wait for another demo man to come out. Okay, this pyro. 147. And it's gonna burn him. So that probably wouldn't kill, but it just gives them more time to run away and get health. Whereas you would just fire 2 rockets. It's much easier. You get 2 chances to hit him. And you wouldn't lose all your ammo. So make the charge shot a little bit better. And then this weapon would probably see some use. Still wouldn't be as good as the default, but it'd see some more use. The next weapon I want to talk about is the direct hit. So I wanted to like add the text on, so it's kind of like the reserve shooter where the first couple of seconds you take it out, it'll mini crit enemies that are hit while they're airborne. So all those dudes that just hit, I pulled it out, I pulled it out, smacked them with the rocket, and then they would take mini crits. And I don't see why this can't be added, because it would just be like boom, it'd make it like it give you more incentive to use this weapon because you can kill more classes with 1 hit, and they'd be like, oh my god, it's broken, lock and load effect. First of all, lock and load was stupid, okay? Should only have had 2 shots. The explosion radius was the same. It could kill small classes from like pretty far range because grenades have like no damage drop off. And yeah, but like this weapon, it removes like one of the soldier's biggest biggest strengths, which is his ability to like crowd control really well. He would just shoot, and then enemies would be knocked around. A lot of them would take splash damage. So this kind of like, it lets you be a more sniper class, but you can't even snipe these classes. They don't die. And you had to hit them twice, or you got to use your shotgun, but that removes your rocket jumping capabilities, which is never fun. And I don't know why that platformer is there. It kind of pisses me off. So yeah, it would just add a little text like 5 seconds after switching to this weapon, deal mini crits to airborne enemies, and that'd be good. Now moving on to the Liberty Launcher, where I'm going to call it a weapon change instead of a weapon buff, because I really don't know if this would buff or nerf the weapon. So my one weird complaint is how this weapon, it got a really unexpected change when it suddenly just got 5 rockets and it did so much less damage, which I'm personally not a fan of because it can sometimes take up to 1 extra rocket to kill somebody, which is like, oh, that's not too bad, you have an extra rocket, that's what it's for. But then that takes more time and it gives more time for the enemy to kill you, which I don't really like. And plus it doesn't help it to go with the reserve shooter combo, which I didn't have equipped. 1 second, please. Alrighty, I am back with the reserve shooter equipped. And basically what this wants you to do is it wants you to pop, pop, and you kill people real quick, right? The only problem is sometimes I feel like in the actual battle you won't have time to be like, oh yeah, that little bunny hop, it didn't even kill. Like that little bunny hop, it isn't always enough for you to like line up your shot. I mean, I guess you could practice at it, but it doesn't really promote you using this. Like, might as well use the regular shotgun because they're gonna land and then you're gonna have to shoot them again anyway with 2 shots. So a regular shotgun could do basically the exact same job that I'm trying to do. And that one did 60 damage and it killed them. Regular shotgun could do 60 damage. Why use the reserve shooter that has that has 2 less bullets? Well, I'll give you a reason why. That did 8 damage. I'll give you a reason why. You make them launch higher from this Liberty Launcher. So instead of just going a boop, they would go boo. It wouldn't be like ridiculous so they completely lose their ability to move, but just a little bit more so you'd have like an extra second. That didn't even mini crit. So you'd have like an extra second or so to aim a shot at them. And of course remove the extra rocket from the Liberty Launcher and keep the damage penalty there. So yeah, that makes more sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to anybody else, but I would like to see that implemented into the game. Darn it. Alright, now I'm here to talk about the Beggars Bazooka, and I tried to mess with this map and I got all of them to spawn on this side and I got no heavies. But anyway, the problem with this weapon that I see is the 3 rockets you load up, 1, 2, 3, you launch them all, and well, that power went really high, but like if it was a heavy or some other big class, these guys are all moving at heavy speed, by the way, he wouldn't like fly anywhere. See, that's 200 damage. Like what? Even if he reflected the first rocket, 2 more were coming his way. What is that pyro gonna do, okay? What is this engineer gonna do, huh? Nothing, just dies immediately. And another thing is, this rocket that nobody ever uses is you charge up your rockets, 2, 3, and yeah. You do a mini airstrike on people, except the rockets do full damage, which can be really deadly, because nobody appreciates the power of this thing. Whee! And that guy gets sent flying back. It didn't kill him, but if he didn't have full HP, probably would have killed him. See, 27 damage and it killed him. So maybe either give it a flat damage reduction like Valve always likes to do to everything, or to be creative so it doesn't blow up the heavies in one instant, it could have like an increasing damage penalty. So what I mean by that is when you launch your 3 rockets, 2, 3, ba ba ba, and whoops, say this pile of boxes is a heavy. You go bam, bam, bam. Instead of just doing 300 damage and demolishing him as soon as he walks out of spawn or wherever he's coming from, it would do 5% less for each consecutive rocket that hits him. So the first rocket would do 100, then 95, then 90. So he'd have like, what, a sliver of HP left to try and fight back. He'd still be dead, but he wouldn't be insta-dead, which makes the big difference. So if that change was implemented, he would still be able to blow up these smaller classes, no problem. But you wouldn't be able to destroy the bigger classes that shouldn't be this terrified of soldiers. Alrighty, and now we're going to talk about the Airstrike, which I think will probably get a nerf because it's a bit strong in my opinion. And the main reason for that is like the damage penalty. Yes, it is less damage than the rocket launcher, but every time you get a kill, your clip size increases. And if you think, would you rather have a rocket that can hold like 7 rockets and does like a little bit less damage, has a little bit less explosion radius, or just the default rocket launcher? I think I would pick the second rocket. If you're not convinced, well, feel free to rocket jump and rain hell on them. Yeah, is that convincing? Yeah, pretty convincing. I don't know why more people aren't using this. You don't even need to use the parachute, so if you still want gunboats on, you'll take like 0 rocket damage because it already has decreased self-damage. And look, I can launch off like half my rockets in the little time that I'm airborne. If I jump higher, I can launch off more. And if I have height advantage on them, say I jump from the top of this hill, I can probably empty my clip if I really wanted to. Almost emptied my clip. Didn't kill him because I didn't aim at all, but you get what I'm saying, right? So I don't know if we should reduce the damage again because then just nobody would use this. But maybe decrease the starting rocket to 3 like it was before. That'd be a nice start. And then maybe this weapon will be more balanced, even though I'm not seeing a lot of people use it. So, yep. Those are all most of the gameplay changes I want to see with these rockets. And then I got some other stuff to say too before I wrap up this video. Alright, something else I want to see added into the game, which shouldn't even be too much of an effort for Valve to do, considering they've already done it for the Airstrike, is to have these new different rocket models for everything. So this is by a guy called Bagast, and if you check out his DeviantArt, he actually has a bunch of Steam Workshop submissions, which are all really, really cool, but the main thing I'm interested in is seeing these. So, like, when you're playing a game, you see a rocket whiz by your head, and you're like, whoa, who shot that rocket? I mean, not who, but like, what shot that rocket? Well, you don't need to guess anymore. You'll just know. And also, since the Beggars Bazooka isn't on here, you could, I don't know, like, slap a trash can onto a rocket, and bam, you got the Beggars Bazooka. Alrighty. And I guess it could have a slight impact on gameplay, but it's really just so the game looks prettier overall, I think. And if this is added, I will spend even more money on TF2. So, yeah, your move, Valve, I guess.